Caravaggio was a master of light, and the power of his paintings is still felt today. Each one is a masterclass, not just in the art of painting, but also in the art of lighting. Lighting is often treated as something secondary, sometimes it's not considered at all. But in reality, light is what creates the subject visually. Without light, there is no painting. It's just as simple as that. So how do you design light that not only looks good, but actually tells a story? Today in the Atelier of Figurative Arts, we study one of the most famous paintings in art history, The Calling of St. Matthew, and you can try painting along if you want, simply by downloading the master resource that you can find in the description. And we'll explore some of the genius ideas that Caravaggio used that can really help you make your painting stand out. Looking at Caravaggio's art, the first lesson we can learn is that light is a subject in and of itself. If you think a beautiful model or an interesting subject is enough, you're missing the most important ingredient. Yes, you do need an interesting model, but it's nothing if you don't have the light that goes with it. Light is not just a tool, it is a subject in itself. Caravaggio actually went against the current in his time and proved that having a beautiful face as a model is not essential. He was very provokingly using common people, peasants, and low lives as models for religious figures. They were not perfect, not beautiful, not idealized. They had dirty feet, dirty fingers, which seemed very inappropriate at the time. So he was doing all that with, we could say, ugly models, but the light that he used to paint them made them feel so real, so present, so lively, that it redeemed everything else. But lighting in Caravaggio's work goes even beyond that. In The Calling of St. Matthew, you might think that you're looking at a group of figures gathered around a table, and if you really observe, something else emerges. There are not just 7 figures in this painting, there are 8. And the 8th is the light. A powerful beam enters from the right side, cutting diagonally across the scene. It reveals some faces, hides others, and creates a hierarchy of attention. It directs your eye immediately towards Matthew, the moment of realization, the narrative turning point, really the central part of this painting, which is also what we are painting right now in the demo. The light is not neutral in this case. It's a meaningful storytelling device. Some interpretations suggest that this light actually represents a divine presence. Whether you take that literally or not, the important lesson here is that light can carry the story just as much as the figures themselves. Without that beam of light, the painting would lose its entire emotional impact. And what's demonstrably true with this very dramatic composition is the same with any painting, regardless of the subject. Light, in fact, is the subject of all paintings. And let's explore this idea more in depth, because I think it's really a key here. When you look at a painting, you might think that you're looking at a person, at a landscape, at a still life, but technically, this is not what you're seeing. You are seeing light. That's what's actually hitting your retina. Everything in the painting is revealed through light. Without it, there is no form, no color, no depth. Even the most carefully drawn figure disappears if the lighting doesn't describe it clearly. This is why we can say that light is always the true subject of a painting. Take a simple example. Imagine that you paint the same face, the same portrait, under 3 different lighting conditions: flat frontal light, strong side light, dramatic top light. You will end up with 3 completely different paintings, not just visually, but emotionally. The structure of the face will appear completely different, the mood will change, the story will change, and the model actually didn't change, just the light. Only the light is changing, and it changes the mood, it changes everything else. So light is not just something that reveals the subject, it actually defines it. This is also why great painters spend so much time thinking about light before they even begin. They're not just asking, what should I paint, but also, how should I light it? This is why it's so essential if you create a shadow box for still lives that you get a proper light setup with it. It's why it's so essential if you go outside and try to paint landscape that you try to go out at exactly the right time when the sun procures the best, the ideal light that just creates the best version of the landscape. And actually, when you become an artist, you start realizing that being an artist is actually just designing with light. And this is where painting, this is where real art begins. So if you start treating light as an extra subject to consider in your composition, you understand that good lighting is not accidental, it is designed. If you want strong, powerful light, you need a clear and controlled setup. A few essential principles are needed to achieve something like a Caravaggio's light. You want to use a single dominant light source. You want to try to avoid mixing multiple conflicting lights, and you want to aim for a neutral temperature that's around daylight balance, so approximately 5000 kelvins or warmer. What makes Caravaggio's lighting so effective is not just its intensity, but also the placement. The light enters from a high right position, slightly angled downwards with a very slight tilt. This creates a sort of a diagonal flow that guides the viewer's eye across the painting. It starts at Christ, travels through the beam, and lands precisely on the main figure of this painting, Matthew. And this is not random, it's a form of visual storytelling through light geometry. And you can definitely experiment with this idea yourself. I recommend that if you use your own photos or if you use a shadow box for your subjects, you try to experiment with light placement and light quality. You want to move your light higher, lower, closer, further, even make small changes in position, in softness, and you'll see how it will completely transform the mood of the subject and how it appears. Light placement really is composition. Composition is often taught as arranging objects on the canvas, but in reality, light is one of the most powerful compositional tools you have because light controls attention. The eye is naturally drawn to areas of contrast, light against shadows, sharp edges against soft ones, bright accents against darker surroundings. This means that by controlling the light, you're literally guiding the viewer's gaze. You're deciding what matters. Think of composition not as placing objects, but as organizing light and shadow. And a very simple way to understand this is to reduce your painting and divide it into two camps, two sides, lights and shadows. Forget about everything in between. Just try to understand what is directly receiving the light and what is hidden from the light. And from there, everything becomes much clearer because you will understand where the light mass really sits, how large it is, how much of your subject is receiving some of this light, this precious light, and you can start shaping with light from there. A strong diagonal light, for example, can create movement. A spotlight effect can isolate a subject from the rest. A gradual transition can create something calm and unified. Also try to understand the direction of the light flow. In painting, we often talk about this idea of the shower of light, how the light slowly diminishes in intensity as you move away from the light source. Try to understand this motion and this movement because it recreates a visual path. As the eye moves away from the light source, the intensity of the light gradually diminishes, so it really creates a natural motion for the viewer's eye. The 2-to-1 principle. Now we can come to the core idea that I have looking at Caravaggio's work. One of the reasons this painting feels so powerful is the balance between light and shadow. Caravaggio doesn't flood the scene with light, he just controls it. He directs it. And this scene very much plays like theater. If you simplify this image, you can notice that roughly 2/3 of the important visual information is in the light, while 1/3 remains in the shadow. And this creates several advantages. This strong contrast creates drama. The eye is naturally guided towards the lit areas, and the shadows create this mystery and depth that really truly reveals what sits in the light. And this Caravaggio's 2-to-1 principle works at multiple levels. You can apply it to the entire composition, you can apply it to a single figure, you can apply it to a portrait, you can apply it to a setup, a still life setup. In The Calling of St. Matthew, Caravaggio pushes this idea even further. He uses pretty sharp edges between the lights and the shadows, almost like cutting the painting into distinct geometric zones. The result is a rhythm of light and darkness that feels both controlled and dramatic. The 2-to-1 principle is very simple but very powerful. 2/3 of your subject is in the light, 1/3 is in the shadow. Or you can do the opposite if you want to create something even more dramatic, like 2/3 in the shadows and 1/3 in the light. Create something extremely intense, extremely dark. Keep in mind that what matters here is not the exact measurement of these proportions. What matters is to create an imbalance and to create a sort of an opposition between the two worlds. Because balance doesn't mean equality. If you split your painting into something like 50% light and 50% shadow, you often get something static, kind of indecisive. And if you make something that's 90% in the light and 10% in the shadows, everything is clearly visible, not too much is hidden, and the eye doesn't have any mystery left to kind of wonder what's happening. Everything feels equally important, which means that nothing really is important. The 2-to-1 principle creates some kind of hierarchy between things in the visual world. It tells the viewers, this is the dominant area and this is the supporting one. This is the main character and this is the background. So when you choose how much of your subject is in the light or in the shadow, you are essentially making a narrative decision. You want to ask yourself, do I want to reveal this character? Do I want to hide them? Do I want to hide a part of them? Do I want to create clarity or ambiguity? Do I want something calm or do I want tension? And this 2-to-1 principle works at multiple levels, on the whole composition, on individual figures, on smaller elements like faces or hands. You can apply it everywhere. In a portrait, you might keep most of the face in the light, but let one side fall into the shadow. Great lighting is not about making everything visible. It's about choosing what to reveal and what to hide. The 2-to-1 principle gives you a simple framework to organize that decision process. It prevents flat lighting and helps you create hierarchy, depth, and storytelling. Caravaggio understood this to perfection. He didn't just paint figures in a room, he painted light as an active force, shaping the narrative. And if you start thinking of light this way, I can assure you that your paintings will immediately gain clarity and power. Now you can gain more clarity and power by watching this video next. I'll see you in the next one, my friends. As always, joy and inspiration to you. Bye.